In recent days, Chinese state media has made waves with a bold assertion. A PLA Air Force J-16 fighter jet allegedly locked onto not one, but two foreign stealth aircraft simultaneously during an encounter over the East China Sea. The claim was first broadcast in a CCTV documentary and subsequently amplified across Global Times, South China Morning Post, and various defense outlets. It rapidly drew both skepticism and intrigue within international defense communities. According to the documentary, the pilot, identified as Li Chao, recounted that two stealth aircraft approached a zone near China's eastern coastline, which Beijing describes as sensitive airspace. Li stated that his J-16 executed an interception, maneuvered aggressively with a barrel roll, closed in to within 10 to 15 meters of one of the aircraft, and performed an inverted pass before achieving simultaneous radar locks. He claimed both aircraft then withdrew. South China Morning Post later reported that CCTV did not release raw radar tracks, timestamps, or full telemetry, but presented the incident as evidence of China's advancing aerial capability. No official confirmation or denial has come from the United States. Defense News noted that the Pentagon declined to comment, while analysts in the West labeled the claim unverifiable. Observers emphasize that fifth-generation stealth fighters like the F-22 are designed to minimize detectability, making lock-on by a non-stealth aircraft extremely difficult without significant sensor support. The broader context makes this more than just a tactical anecdote. Since 2021, Reuters and Associated Press have documented over 180 high-risk air intercepts between Chinese and U.S. military aircraft in the Indo-Pacific region. The U.S. often frames these as lawful reconnaissance or freedom of navigation flights in international airspace. Beijing characterizes them as provocative incursions. Amid such a backdrop, CCTV's broadcast can be read as more than reportage. It is a strategic narrative, declaring that China is now capable of contesting U.S. air dominance near its shores. Technically, the J-16 is often classified as a 4.5-generation multi-role fighter. Jane's Defense Weekly describes it as equipped with an AESA radar, modern electronic warfare suites, and tight data link integration with China's air defense network. The aircraft is derived from earlier flanker designs but with substantial indigenous upgrades. While capable, it lacks the stealth profile of a true fifth-generation jet. Stealth aircraft like the F-22 achieve low observability via shaping, radar-absorbent materials, internal weapons bays, and emissions control. Their radar cross-section, RCS, in frontal aspect is often estimated to be extremely small. Some analysts put it below 0.001 to 0.01 meters squared. Under ideal conditions, they evade detection until very close range or via low-frequency radars. Therefore, for a J-16 to establish a reliable radar lock, the conditions must be favorable: small separation, a reflective angle, or assistance from external sensors. That's where China's integrated air defense concept becomes central. According to the War Zone, the J-16's radar might have received vectoring or target cues from airborne early warning platforms like the KJ-500 or ground-based low-frequency radars forming part of an AIDS. Such networks can feed preliminary tracks to fighters, reducing the burden on their onboard radar. In this scenario, the J-16 completes the final lock using data already processed by the system. The lock-on claim may thus depend heavily on the network rather than purely on the jet's own sensors. Asia Times highlights this as part of China's focus on building a coherent kill chain, integrating multiple radar, sensor, and command platforms to challenge stealth aircraft. The J-16 incident can be seen as a public demonstration of that networked approach, rather than a pure one-on-one dogfight. Yet without release of raw sensor data or independent validation, the claim remains one-sided. Analysts from Rand Corporation, quoted in Defense News, caution that the term lock-on is often misunderstood. In military parlance, radar lock can indicate a passive track or to simulated engagement rather than a guaranteed missile firing solution. The F-22 is equipped with highly sensitive radar warning receivers. Detecting an emission from an adversary might prompt pilots to disengage, preemptively, without admitting tactical inferiority. From China's point of view, the narrative has symbolic weight. Presenting the J-16 as capable of confronting U.S. stealth jets reinforces a national message of military confidence and technological independence. For the U.S. and its partners, the claim is a reminder that any perceived dominance in the Indo-Pacific can no longer be taken for granted. Sensor networks, interoperability, and electronic warfare must keep pace. In response, regional powers appear to be adjusting.
Japan has fast-tracked additional F-35A2 acquisitions. South Korea is expanding radar coverage around strategic islands. And Australia has confirmed new joint exercises involving F-22s in northern bases. These moves suggest that the region is taking China's narrative seriously, even if skeptically. So far, no third-party or independent evidence has validated the J-16's dual lock claim, but still, in reputation and influence, the story has likely achieved much of its intended effect. Global Times framed the incident as a proof of confidence in the PLA's capabilities, while Western outlets have described it as a carefully staged act of defense propaganda. Let's deepen the analysis further with more recent tactical and strategic context. As of 2024-2025, open-source analysts estimate China's J-16 inventory could exceed 350 airframes, possibly approaching 450 based on serial number extrapolation and batch production data. Wikipedia's J-16 entry cites conservative estimates consistent with publicly observed aircraft in China frontline units. The J-16D variant, configured for electronic warfare, carries EW pods and internal systems to suppress enemy sensors, a capability relevant when confronting stealth assets. On the weapons side, sources confirm that J-16 can carry the PL-15 Beyond Visual Range air-to-air missile. Wikipedia's PL-15 page states this missile can achieve speeds up to Mach 5 with a range of 200 to 300 kilometers and is actively deployed across China's frontline fighter fleet. China's radar investments reinforce this setup. The country fields low-frequency, long-wavelength radars, for example JY-27A, intended to degrade stealth effectiveness. Asia Times reports that the revelation of the J-16 incident underscores an accelerating race in air power, one where the focus is shifting from pure platform capability to who can integrate, fund, and sustain layered sensor networks. Looking deeper, China is also venturing into emerging technologies such as quantum radar and passive detection systems. Though still largely developmental, these systems aspire to detect stealth aircraft by different physical principles, potentially circumventing conventional stealth countermeasures. Critics in Western defense circles argue that even if some detection or temporary tracking occurred, it does not equate to a reliable missile engagement solution. Stealth aircraft might avoid firing solutions, employ jamming, or alter flight paths to deny lock-on continuity. Moreover, any close maneuver like barrel roll or inverted pass at 10 to 15 meters risk mid-air collision, a claim many skeptics view as dramatized. Nevertheless, the potential implications are serious. If China can credibly challenge U.S. stealth near its coasts, it raises the bar for penetration operations, forces U.S. assets to invest more in sensor stealth and countermeasures, and reshapes the strategic calculus in the Indo-Pacific. In the end, whether the J-16 truly locked onto two stealth jets remains unproven, but the narrative has already reshaped perceptions. In modern military competition, the weapon that fires first is not always a missile. Often, it's the story broadcast across global airwaves.